Just punch the motherfucker in the face. That's what people are waiting for. So this boom, 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 and this boom, boom, boom. They're standing there thinking, what am I going to do next? React to the moment. Don't get caught up in what's coming up next, because they don't know what's coming up next. They don't give a shit. If that punch don't look any good, guess what, babyface, you're sunk, because you hit like a girl. So they don't give a shit what the fuck you do after that. Body language needs to match the facial expression. They should see the face, especially on promos, especially when you take the backdrop and you come up, oh, Jesus Christ. But so many guys, once again, are so concerned about taking an artsy-fartsy, perfectly formed backdrop that when they land, they just do this. They know they got to grab their back. They're supposed to do that. They know that. And they do this, and they're looking up like, and now you got to shoot me off again. Sell the fucking backdrop. Dick Murdoch could get so much mileage out of one punch. God, he'd sell his nose, he'd take a bump, he'd do the curly shuffle around the ring, he'd come over to the manager, check my nostril, what, you know. I'm not saying the guys have to slow down the pace of, although in some cases that would be a bonus these days, because once again, as I've said before, nobody claps at a tennis game until somebody misses the ball. If you never stop running, bang, 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 bang. Okay, if I do that for 10 minutes, finally people are going to go, fuck, is there any popcorn? It's bang, 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 boom. Wow. You got to give them a place to clap. If you just keep running, everything goes by. They don't get any reaction.
Well, we're talking about body language and showing your face and that kind of stuff. Barry Windham was a great baby face at that.
Oh.
And when you kind of take Windham as an example and kind of explain the kind of things that he did.
Well, you know, Barry had that glassy-eyed look and the stagger, and he was so tall, but he had amazing agility. If you pickled him and he'd turn around and he'd be goofy and he'd stagger to the ropes and he'd fall over the top rope, roll off the apron, fall to the guardrail, hit his head on that, and take a bump back on the floor from one good drop kick or whatever. People went, God damn. But the whole time, if you go back and watch a lot of old tapes from a lot of old top talents, even if they were really going at a good clip, at a fast pace, their facial expression registered for a split second or whatever what had been done to them. And the body language followed along. You know, if it was good, I mean, there's always been bad wrestling. I don't think there's old wrestling and new wrestling. I think there's bad wrestling and good wrestling. So, you know, if your facial expression doesn't register what's happened to you, then the people aren't going to buy it because there's no pain, or there's no happiness, or there's no, or whatever the case may be. Oh, Jesus. Oh, instead of, ow, that's selling. You're selling the move to someone. So once again, you know, guys are too concerned with getting through this 7-minute exhibition of choreographed spots instead of worrying about going out telling a story to the people that they can believe, where the babyface is looking good, but the heel gets frustrated, so then he has to cheat a little bit, and then he gets him going, and now the babyface is being waltzed across Texas, and he's miserable, and he's on the verge of defeat, but they can't put him away until finally the heel goes for all or nothing, gets nothing, and the babyface has one last chance to make the comeback, and boy, when he does, goddamn, the people better be with him, and holy shit, then whatever happens from there, you've told them a story. And there's variations on that. There's a million variations, because you can't just do the same formula all the time, but you got to know when to do the variations, which is another reason why this tape is going to be confusing to a lot of people. Because he said, well, no, wait a minute. He said, do that, but then he said, don't do that, but we shouldn't always do that, but we always ought to try to do that unless we do the other thing. Third base.
What are some of the things, like you mentioned the variations, what are some of the things a heel can do maybe early in a match to kind of set the story of a match or set the tone?
Well, let's say, for example, you've got a really big heel and a really small baby face. And once again, Lawler was a master at this. I grew up watching him, so I've taken a lot of his tricks, but this is evergreen. Instead of, generally in a match, the baby face is going to kick ass for however many minutes and then get cut off, right? But if you got a baby face that's 6 feet tall, 215, and a heel that's 7 feet tall, 330, does that seem legitimate? No, so what you're going to do is the heel is going to come out and be a cocky, arrogant son of a gun, and he's going to snatch the little guy by the neck like a pit bull grabbing a terrier. He's going to throw him across the ring, and he's going to illustrate for a couple minutes that there's no possible way that this guy can ever beat him, take him off his feet, hurt him, whatever, so that finally, when the babyface gets an opening to outquick him, outsmart him, or outthink him, and hits the ropes or comes off the top or does whatever the case or kicks him in the balls, I don't care what it is, and the big monster goes down, the place blows. Because you have made the opponent a monster. You've made the Frankenstein monster dangerous, and now the little villager, without even a torch, just knocked him on his ass. He's still got a chance. He's still got some hope. Fooled you. You've got to. That's only a smart way to do it. Or if the baby face is inordinately over, is really super over with the crowd, whereas the heel is just coming up and they're not sure whether they'll take him as a top guy, first thing that the baby face needs to do is get his ass kicked for a couple minutes, not necessarily 100 miles an hour, but at a pretty deliberate pace, to show that he can't figure out how to get the handle on this guy. And then when he finally does figure it out and he starts taking it back to the heel, now the people are into it. Now you've hooked him. So you just start to match backwards.
Okay. Going over to the babyface side now, unless you want to explain anything else on the heel side.
I'll be glad to confuse people with anything you'd like.
Okay. Looking at the babyface side, you explain some of the characteristics that make up a babyface. What are some of the things a babyface can do in the context of a match, like physically, to show the characteristics that he is a babyface?
Well, once again, so much of this stuff depends on the individual. You almost, in the case, if they don't know that you're a baby face coming in, you can get over with them. If they know the heel, then you got a whole lot easier job, because you can do things, because the heel is trying to go out there and get heat and hopefully succeeding. So if you're an unknown baby face with a known heel, then all you have to do is do some things to take the piss out of the heel, as Adrian Street used to say. Take the piss out of him, mate. If they don't know either one of you, then you really have to start from scratch. The best thing to do is keep it simple and establish things. And basically, the babyface should do a lot of cool shit, a lot of ha-ha-ha, acknowledge the cheers of the fans, I'm okay, and let the heel do his thing, and bitch and whine and moan and complain to the referee, and sooner or later they'll get the picture. Heel cheats. Babyface cheats only after the heel is cheated, when he's provoked. That type of average shit. But everybody tries to think there's some kind of big formula, and there's not a big formula. It's individuals in the right place at the right time. What would we do? What would we all do if all this shit was really happening? If it wasn't on television, if it wasn't in a cartoon, if we weren't on the moon, what if we were all just really here and this shit was really happening? And I was really a prick and you were really a nice guy and we were having a professional wrestling match and a bunch of people came to see it. What would we do? And we just do that. And people, they get the picture. If you try to pre-plan and overanalyze, oh my God, well, now would that be good for, because I run a wrestling school, so believe me, I get this. Now, is it too soon in my push for me to take a bump now, or is this baby face, is he strong enough that he ought to be able to put me down, or am I too big, or should I take that bump, or what? God damn, just go with it. If the people are jumping up and down, throwing babies in the air, cheering and screaming, you're doing right. If they're sitting there going, geez, you think they got any fucking nachos left? Then you better change your shit. This isn't rocket surgery. It's not even brain science, as a matter of fact.
How about as far as selling goes?
He's gonna kill me.
Is there any differences that you should do when you're selling, if you're a heel or a baby?
Yes, a baby face traditionally sells as realistically as possible, because you want the people to have some kind of sympathy or empathy or whatever pathy that word is. A baby face sells very realistically. A heel almost oversells, especially in the comeback, because the people, when they're seeing the heel beat up the baby face, they gotta, and once again, Ricky Morton and Ricky Steamboat and those classic sellers were masters of that, where it would just, Barry Windham, where they were just, you could see the guy almost ready to fucking cry from the pain he was in, and God, the physical, and they would feel sorry for this guy. And Jesus, is he ever going to get up? John Wayne and the Cowboys, right? The Bruce Dern and them, they burned his ranch, they raped his wife, they killed his horse, they did everything. And John Wayne, obviously, was the bigger star than all of them. He could have the script written where, okay, I'll shoot the fucking heel in the head, I'll shoot his gang in the foot, I'll fuck my own wife, and I'll goddamn ride off the sunset on my horse. But then John Wayne wouldn't have been over. John Wayne knew they had to get heat. The heel's got to get heat first. Got to make the babyface an underdog. No matter how strong the babyface is, he's got to be an underdog so when he makes his comeback, the people will get off on it. So the babyface is going to get the piss beat out of him by the heel, and it's going to make it as realistic as possible so that people go, holy shit, ooh, God. But when it's time for the babyface to make that comeback especially, the heel is going to take a bigger backdrop, and he's going to take a bigger suplex, and he's going to goddamn get punched in the face, and he's going to take a bigger bump, and he's going to go, oh shit, and the knees are going to go everywhere, because now it's time for the babyface to shine after his ranch has been burned, and his wife's been raped, and his horse has been shot, and his dog's been fucked in the ass. Goddamn, he finally gets a chance to get even, and the people want to see that, and so they get off on that. So the heel bumps are somewhat more exaggerated, but not cartoony, just bigger, broader.
Okay. A lot of times...
Sometimes cartoony, but I don't know about that.
A lot of time on the indies now, we have two guys that are basically baby faces. What can two baby faces do against each other so one doesn't really end up losing his credibility as a baby face or inadvertently ends up turning heel or anything like that?
Well, once again, it depends, because I don't care what you do in a match unless you rip a guy's balls off of your teeth or stick your thumb in his eye and come up and, with an eyeball and eat it. The thing is, in a babyface match, it's going to be bland. Unless you've got two of the top babyfaces in the business. Jack Briscoe and Dory Funk Jr., they could go 60 minutes, and Dory would make those little subtle gestures. He'd shoot the elbow in there, or do the old Lou Thez deal, or whatever, and people go, oh, shit. But that just made Briscoe more of a babyface, but at the same time, they could respect Dory because he was a great wrestler, he was a world champion, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It depends on the baby faces. Once again, it depends on their personality. It depends on how they've been used, how they've been pushed, how they've been presented and promoted. But let's say that you have two guys that are just pretty well equal standing baby faces. If they're wrestling, they ought to be wrestling for something, first of all. If they're just having a match against each other, it's poor booking, because why? Why you want to split your audience up? And why do you want to give these guys the task of going out and having a match there's not going to be a lot of reaction to, because some people are going to want Joe to win, some people are going to want Sam to win, but the people who want Sam to win don't really hate Joe, and the people who want Joe to win don't really hate Sam, so they're just going to kind of sit, and they'll clap on the pretty moves. But let's maybe say that this is Joe's night, and he's doing a little bit better than Sam. So Sam starts getting frustrated, because after all, it's a contest. They're wrestling for something, whether it be a title or money or a spot or whatever. Joe's looking good. Sam can't get a hold of him. He can't find him. He's looking for air, oxygen, or opportunity, one or the other. And finally, maybe on the break, he gives him the show. God damn, and the referee goes, now, don't you goddamn do that. Hey, fuck it. I'm getting frustrated here. Now the people go, ooh. Well, then Joe, naturally, because he's like, hey, cocksucker, I went to your wedding. Come here. I'll fucking punch you. Now tempers are flaring. Now they got to calm them down, right? Referee calms them down. Okay. Happens again. Boom, another shot on break, whatever. God damn it. Now you've got the people in the babyface match, just because the guy that they like that's not cheating is balling up his fist and chasing the other guy, and if the other guy's putting it over like, oh shit, I better get out of here because he realizes I fucked up. Oh, god damn, I know him, he's mad. Now they're just chasing each other around. One guy's trying to hit the other guy's trying to keep him from hitting him, and you got people going, oh yeah, hit him. So then the one guy gets a little rougher, and the other guy gets a little bit of a comeback, but at the same time, I always tell the guys, as long as they stay away from the eyes, the ears, and the balls, you're not really turning heel, you're just getting frustrated. So bing, 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 the match is over, it's a draw, this guy goes over, that guy goes over, whatever. As long as they come up and they look at each other, and the guy that was getting frustrated, if he lost, if he draws back, or if he won, then he looks like that, like, well, maybe I should have done it. And they look at each other and they milk it. Of course, now people are so jaded. Now one of them's going to turn. One of them's going to turn. No. They just reach over and shake hands, and goddamn one guy raises the other guy's hand and fucking hug. They're baby faces. One guy got mad. He lost his You ever play basketball with somebody where you lost your temper because that guy could fucking actually play basketball and you were a white man that couldn't fucking jump and you were getting your ass kicked? You're like, God damn it, but afterwards you still don't hate the guy. He's your friend. But during the process of a competition, tempers will flare. So once again, the guys overanalyze that. This'll turn me heel. This'll make me babyface. Well, if the booking's right and the match is right, no, it'll just be a nice thing for people to watch, and then you get out of it. Good writing, great writing, cannot overcome bad talent. Great talent cannot overcome bad writing. However, it's easier. Talent is the most important part in this business. Booking is very important, but not as important as talent. Because, like I said, it's a whole lot easier for great talent to overcome bad booking than it is for great booking to overcome bad talent.